Hi everyone. So today's session, I'm going to walk you through, is a customer data platform right for you? So I'm Louise Blake. I'm the VP of Data for Sierra Group. I've worked in the data industry for around 15 years now across many different companies, so from private sector, public sector in the UK and now based in the Middle East. I've been here for around 7 years now, working for Dubai government first and then moving into Sierra. So who is Sierra? Sierra is actually one of the biggest travel company in the Middle East. We actually have a number of different business verticals. So most widely known would be Al Musafa, which is our customer travel platform. So we have a website, apps, retail stores, and call center selling flights, hotels, and other services for international travel. We've actually recently launched into a new business vertical around inbound travel into Saudi, which is actually something that was very new. The borders were just opening up before COVID happened, and it was a really key focus area for us. We are a Saudi company, and the importance of being able to showcase what Saudi has on offer was pivotal to us. Some of the other business units that we run as well. So we have a travel management platform for corporate travel. So, people traveling for business purposes. We also have a car rental company and religious travel. So we focus a lot on bringing pilgrims into Mecca. So I think one of the main key points of Sierra Group is we've always said that we're a technology company that sells travel. So we're always looking for the newest tools and software out there to help us connect with our customers and be able to actually perform kind of the have the best availability with regards to how our customers interact with us and make their purchases through our online services. So I'm here today to talk about, is a customer data platform right for you? As I just explained, Sierra covers a number of different business units. We have different customers who interact with just one of our platforms, customers who interact across all of them. So for us, it was really key to understand, is it something that we needed to invest in at a Sierra level? So not just taking one of our consumer-facing brands to understand our customer base, but how does that look when a customer is a Sierra customer? And for us, it's very key because if someone could interact with us through our Al Musafa app, they could go to one of our car rental stores and rent a car. They could call the call center with regards to one of the corporate bookings that they've made for their company. And previously, we've seen them as 3 different customers. So for us to understand the customer as a whole, not only gives us more insights into how we make our products better, but it also helps us tailor our messaging to our customers. So we were starting to look into whether Sierra as a whole, is customer experience key for us? And for sure, it is key. It's one of the areas where you keep your customers happy and you keep your business happy. So making that optimum customer experience was definitely key. Again, understanding, do we want to be more efficient in the way we work and improve revenue? Yes, of course. And then also, how do you understand what your customer wants and needs? Again, it's really key for us to understand our customer base when it comes to things like retention and loyalty. It's really, how do we interact with our customers to keep them coming back? I mean, I think everyone knows that it's even just from a revenue perspective, it costs a lot less to keep your customer than it does to acquire new ones. So once you've paid to get your customer in that door, you really need to make sure that you treat them in a way that they stay with you and they don't go to a competitor. So we started getting interested in the customer data platform space, really to solve some of our business problems. We didn't just want to have a CDP because everyone has one at the moment or everyone's trying to have one. For us, it was really key to understand what we actually, why we needed it and what could we do once we had the tools in place. So for us, really, as I mentioned previously, the ability to track our customers across our different platforms, but also across our different brands, was key. COVID-19 happened. I think in the travel industry especially, we were faced with a number of challenges. People aren't traveling, people can't travel. So really, how can we use the information we have at the moment on our customers to help provide the best services for them? One of the things we actually did, we were able to develop tools around giving customers information around the destinations they were traveling to. When COVID first happened, it was really key for us to understand and inform our customers, was a flight going to be cancelled? Once they got to their destination, did they need to have a PCR test? What were the quarantine restrictions? So we really needed to develop that in-depth understanding of our customers on their purchases, but then also on the information that they may be seeking before they made that purchase, as well as in travel information as well. We worked in a real-time basis, but slightly different to the way in which we're able to do now. We wanted to be able to communicate with our customers as and when they made their purchases, rather than waiting for our data to refresh the following day. So what is our ideal customer journey? What do we want to track around our customers? Not in a creepy way. We don't want people to think, we're just monitoring everything our customers do. I think once you start getting into that mindset, you will almost be inundated with an abundance of data. So it's very key to us to understand kind of what we want how do we want our customers to interact with us? And then how can we track each of those different touch points? So for us, it's really, if I take consumer travel as one of our key focus areas, we have a number of unknown searches that come to our platform. I think travel is one of the industries where people do the significant amount of browsing online. They do a lot of shopping online. They compare prices across, especially for different flights. For hotels, for customers, they come to us, they're very much unknown. Do we necessarily have the content that's available? We probably don't have as many reviews as the reviews you'd see on booking.com. So we often see customers coming to us as unknown, visiting a competitor to maybe get more pictures of the hotel room, or to read more reviews, and then hopefully coming back to us. So for us, we want to be able to track that customer when they first land on our site, whether or not they're logged in. Once they've left us and gone to one of their social media platforms, how can we retarget them to make sure the customer hasn't carried out their discovery through other booking platforms and then converts with them? So then when a customer does hopefully come back to us, we need to understand more around actually, are we showing them the right content for their previous search behavior? Has a customer come to us looking for flights in Dubai? If so, when they come back, how can we make sure that Dubai content is relevant for them and kind of shown to them, as opposed to asking them to start that search criteria all over again? We want to make it easy. We want to make it seamless for our customers. Again, in the same way, if a customer has been browsing on their phone, how can we make sure if they want to book and actually make that conversion on the web, we're able to share information between the two? Hopefully then the customer will book that flight and they'll start looking at hotel content. If they're booking for a particular package, they may leave the site. We then we are contacting them now to be able to recommend the best hotel for them based on a number of different criteria. So based on their search behavior, this trip potentially, but we're also storing data of previous searches. So if a customer is always looking for a 4- or 5-star hotel, if they always have a filter on for certain chains, this is information that's key to us. And we want to make sure that the customer gets recommended their most relevant personalized hotel option. We use this information to actually dynamically rank the content once emails are being sent out to promote certain hotels. And then again, once someone's actually made that cross-sell booking, hopefully if they have, once they contact the call center, all of this information we've been able to gather about that customer's journey, it's invaluable to us. We can actually use that to tailor how we're corresponding with the customer once they call the call center. So what does our tech stack look like? I won't go into too much detail. I think it's something probably most of you will be familiar with in some way, shape or form. We have a number of different data sources. We've summarized a few of the key sources on the slide here you'll be able to see. a lot of them you'll be familiar with. Obviously, we have our key retail channels, so our stores, our call center, and our online behavior. We also connect up with various different data points from our, I would call them operational systems. So we have Salesforce data, which tracks our customer funnels. We have SAP, which is our financial data platform. And we also have our traditional digital trackers, so Adjust, Google Analytics, and then the social media as well, and our retargeting platforms. In addition to that, we also have a lot of data that we collate from a market perspective. So how are we tracking our competitors? How are we, looking at data points that we don't necessarily capture? And for us, it's key, because if we only target customers based on the top destinations and routes that we see for us, how are we going to understand what we're not selling? So for us, market data is very much key around that. All of the data feeds into our data lake. We now have our Telium layer, which helps us in various different ways, which I will go on to explain throughout the rest of the presentation. We then have I would call them 3 key outputs. So we have our self-service reporting platform, where we have our data visualization layer, encouraging end users for self-service. We have around 500 users on our platforms at the moment. We also have created external portals for our partners where we can share data with them to help them, especially through difficult times during COVID. And then we also have our machine learning models that we're using for various different platforms, whether it's our recommendations engine, whether it's web scraping, pricing optimization. But Telium is able to help us enrich and enhance the additional platforms that we have. So I think I've touched on some of these. The opportunity for us was key when we started to understand what our business needs were and what we needed to implement to address each of those. I would say the main areas we've been able to benefit so far, or the avenues we wanted to go down, was around all the audience segmentation. So understanding our customer, being able to target them, or even being able to segment them in a way we can understand our cohorts, provide that journey across all the different channels. And then for us also understanding, how many customers do we have? We didn't necessarily know that before. I mean, we knew how many email addresses we had, we knew how many phone numbers we had, but we couldn't necessarily say that this is, the same customer. In addition to that, we have, data quality. As soon as I mention email and phone number, I know probably most of you will maybe groan at the thought of bad quality data when it comes to our key attributes of how we identify a customer. But for us, it really is, data quality is such a key area when you want to implement any kind of software and tool. I don't think that, I think if you don't have the right data in the first place, you are going to hit with limitations. But for us, we wanted to understand our data quality and then improve it. So how do we go about understanding, who to use, who to help us with our CDP? It's a huge investment in time and energy, and it's not something you want to chop and change on a yearly basis. So we really had to be clear that we were choosing the right partner. So we actually involved many people throughout the organization. It wasn't something that was run directly from IT. It wasn't driven just by marketing or by data. It was actually driven through a collaboration across each and every one of our departments with the touch points. We were able to evaluate on tech stack and integration capabilities because we already had our platform up and running. Something really needed to fit in with what we had. We didn't want to start looking at complex integrations. And we also needed to understand whether, the things we wanted to do, we were able to do with this tool, but we wanted to work with a partner who actually was able to help us along the way and to help us form those use cases, rather than almost as a service delivery with us saying, we want to do X, Y, Z, can you do it? We wanted to start that kind of inspirational thought process, and also to learn by how other people are progressing. I think especially within the digital space, CDP is new for a lot of people. So I can guarantee that the issues we were struggling with, I'm sure the team at Telium will have faced them with another partner somewhere along the line. And equally, I'd like to hope that some of the lessons that we've learned through our implementation would be shared, with other partners as well to help them. So we needed to make sure we had buy-in. It's not something that comes for free. You do have to make sure you have budget set aside. So how did we do that? I think with many finance departments, as soon as you want to implement a new tool, people start to get a little shaky, especially when we're not necessarily, booking lots of flights and hotels at the moment. But for us, it really was around the ROI. How do we show that by actually buying something, it would be better off for us than building in-house? We do have in-house capabilities, but really it was clear that once we started to look at the energy, the effort that was involved, the expertise we can get from partnering up with a global partner, for us it was almost a no-brainer, and we wanted to make sure we could hit the ground running. I think especially with data platforms, I've worked on a number of different data platforms in different companies, and you can probably get by about a year without really having a clear outcome, because that's how long it takes to get your data in one place, to clean it up. But things are moving a lot faster now. I don't think you have that luxury, especially when you have such investments, to almost sit on your hands and wait for outcomes to come in the future. You really have to start delivering from day one. So we made sure when we chose our use cases, it was things we could start showing within a couple of months maximum. And that's also how we prioritize our use cases as well. I think with all of these, once you start getting things up and running, you're able to almost inspire other people to think about how other ways you can integrate the platform. But once you're talking quite hypothetically, it's difficult, I find, for people to conceptualize how they can start making use of the tool. So for us, it was get something out the door first, and the rest will come. I suppose like a build and they will come scenario. And our last point on that was really, what if we don't do this? What are we going to lose out if we don't invest in building a CDP? It's not something that we build, it's in the budget for this year, we make use of it and then it's never used again. This is a long-term investment. So if we don't invest in this now and we want to start making certain changes in 2, 3, 4, 5 years time, will we be able to do that, or will we have to go back to square one? So when it comes to actually understanding what we wanted to build and how we can measure that, I think it's clear that by having a tool in place, it makes it that much easier to be able to build something, but then also understand what does that actually mean for the customer, and is it working ultimately? We think you think what the customer wants, but maybe we don't. I think we have a good grasp of it because we've been doing a lot of interviews with our customers, really trying to understand them and build products that are relevant to them. But being able to monitor how our customers react to these changes and then measure whether or not they do increase conversion, do they increase retention, does understanding our customer actually prove for a better experience for the customer and a better experience for us as well. So what did we learn? A few things along the way. I think when we first started, it was very much around understanding what we have, how we can make the most of it. I think it was initially driven, the implementation was driven from a tech side because we didn't want to kind of overflood the initial setup with lots of different departments. But I think for us, if I could go back in time, I would definitely say that we should have engaged with our other departments that were involved in the assessment process early on in the integration process as well, because it would have helped us build things in a certain way to make it a bit, I suppose, to make our use cases quicker out the door. Because once we'd actually identified some of our use cases, we realized that they weren't possible because it was actually, the way in which we built it or designed it didn't lend itself to being used in such way. Trash in, trash out. I'm sure most of you have heard of this in the past. The data quality, like I was saying, if a lot of the implementation is based on identifying and stitching those customers together, you need to have the right indicators for those customers in the first place. So we actually had to take a step back and put a few changes from our side, from our data lake in place to make sure we could really leverage the beauty of Telium itself, rather than just rely on an external tool to clean up the mess we've been collecting over the past few years. It definitely helped. It helped raise our awareness on the changes we needed to make. but we did need to make those changes in-house. I think, again, talking about sharing use case context. So rather than us having a list of 5, 6 use cases we wanted to build with Telium, almost in a nice contained folder of, here you go, thank you, go build this for us. Actually talking the Telium team through the issues we were facing, why we wanted to do a particular use case, really helped us come to a much better outcome, because it was something we could work on together. And like I mentioned previously, it's more than likely something the team have worked on in the past. So why not, use that, use the learnings previously to help us. I think as well, making those quick wins along the way, as I mentioned, it's good to keep the engagement levels up high. We didn't want to sit back and 6 months later, produce an outcome. We wanted to make sure that people were able to see the benefits of this tool from day one. So whether or not we were able to actually deliver something in the first few weeks, we were definitely able to keep people engaged with our roadmap along the way and understanding when things were going to be due. And again, it really is the importance of having a partnership there. It's not a vendor, in the same way. It's actually so key for us to be working on things together and have that collaboration. And I think even down to simple things like having those shared documents that everyone can dig into and ask questions. And it's not a case of, we ask for one thing, we sit back and a month later it's delivered by Telium. Definitely not. And we actually increase the frequency of our communications to be able to have those quick chats along the way, almost making it slightly more informal, like we are one team. And there's also a lot more we can do. I mean, I haven't gone into very specifics of all of the use cases we're doing at the moment, but we're definitely in a position now where we're able to start using the data in a way that we were never able to before. I think some examples of which I can discuss now is we've done a lot with our loyalty team in keeping our customers engaged with the points they're building up along the way, when they can spend them, when they're going to run out. We're also doing a lot around making those audiences, enabling us to understand our customer base, build segments, and then we're creating those audiences across different platforms. We're also incorporating our search data, as I mentioned previously, with our recommendations platform. So we're able to tailor personalized messages for our customers. There's so much more actually we're going to do. We have a workshop in the next couple of days where we're inviting more people from the business, a wider audience group, to share with them what we've been able to build, and also to really get people thinking, how else can we start to utilize this functionality that we now have within Xero as a group. So what have we learned along the way, and I suppose what would the key takeaways be? I would say, what have I learned, and how can I help you understand how you could not make the same mistakes we did? I think invest in your foundations is key. All of it is based on your data. You're collecting it somewhere along the line, and you need to make sure that it's in the best quality, that your data lake is set up in the way that's most optimum to make the most of this. Because if you don't have this in place, you're going to spend a lot more time getting it in place. And I think the benefit of it as well is, you're not making the foundations good just for Telium. If you actually have your data lake optimized, you can use it for many, many other different ways as well. So it's something we all know we need to do. No one really likes to do it, but it's key. Embrace your partnership. I've mentioned this, I think, a few times, but it really is key to develop that core team within your organization to work alongside the Telium team. We've been able to get to a great place where we are now because we've moved into a situation where we do have that regular contact. We are working as one team, and it isn't that vendor relationship that you see in other types of implementations. And there is no magic solution. I think a CDP definitely helps. It isn't kind of the, I suppose, the golden ticket to making everything wonderful in the world. It's something that can help you really understand what you have and provide options for you to use your data in a much more strategic way to help understand your customers and Also understand your working practices as well. Now we're capturing data from so many different places in real time. We're able to tailor how we're interacting with the customers and how our departments are interacting with each other, and we can measure it all, which is great. So what's next for us? We continue. We're, as I mentioned, having internal workshops with a wider audience to understand exactly how we can leverage the functionality that we now have in-house. This includes expanding out across our car rental business, across our corporate travel, across B2B. So how can we improve the way we're interacting with our agents and our suppliers by measuring how they're navigating through our internal sites? Now, this is all very key information that previously we wouldn't have had access to. We're continuing with our use case development. We have 5 ongoing at the moment, and we're now starting to do the crossover. So we're actually starting to build use cases in-house now. The first few were done from a Telium side without input, but now we're starting to actually build our own with Telium supporting us. So there's still hand-holding along the way, but I think in the next couple of months, we'll definitely see that transition where it's something that's being managed in-house. And as I mentioned, combining Telium with our in-house personalization models. So how can we use that information to actually, drive some of our AI projects that we're working on to, empower our data scientists with additional data points they didn't previously have access to. So thank you for listening. That was my whistle-stop tour. I hope maybe in 6 to 12 months' time, we're able to share some more of our winning stories, and wish you all the best. Thank you.